In our first 25 years, PRISMS has grown from an organization of just a few families and professionals, with the first conference held in 1997 in Bethesda, Maryland, to an international organization with programs dedicated to raising awareness, providing educational materials, and establishing opportunities for research, all to advance the SMS community towards a future of hope. Today, PRISM's awareness campaigns and educational materials on SMS are viewed by more than 300,000 people each year. Our 10th International SMS Conference is our largest to date, with more than 370 attendees, and our programs have grown to include an SMS patient registry, funding for a postdoctoral fellowship, establishment of SMS clinics at renowned institutions, a biennial SMS research symposium, a library of educational guidebooks, and so much more. This year, parents and researchers interested in Smith-Magenis syndrome celebrates our 25th year of leadership and a future of hope for the SMS community. Founded in 1993, PRISMS began at a kitchen table with the dedication of a parent faced with this rare diagnosis and nowhere to turn, and a professional who helped to discover the condition. From the beginning, PRISMS has made a point to shape all programs and services with the combined voice of parents and professionals. Together, we are creating a future of hope through education, awareness, and research. In honor of 25 years, parent and professional leaders from the last 2 decades share some reflections on the organization's history, the vibrant community we serve, and the bright future ahead.
PRISMS means community, and it's a community of fellowship and of shared experiences. And it's also a community of hope, that we are working in tandem as parents and as families, along with professionals and persons who work with people with Smith-Magenis syndrome. And we're really working to push forward awareness and understanding, and of course research. I'm one of the founders of PRISMS, along with my husband, Scott Miller, Ann Smith, and Brenda Finucane. And there wasn't even a PRISMS yet, but it was after my daughter's diagnosis, when she was 6 months old. I met Ann Smith, and we discussed starting some kind of support group and nonprofit organization to serve families that have a child with Smith-Magenis syndrome.
I met Maggie Miller, who, on a cold call to me, whose daughter, then age 6 months, was first diagnosed with Smith-Magenis syndrome, and that was in the first 6 months that I was living in Reston, Virginia. And it was with Maggie Miller and myself around our kitchen table that the framework for PRISMS was laid out. We started with a newsletter, and then we went on to essentially have the conferences. And some of the early conferences had the theme name of Bridge of Hope, and I think it was the bridge that essentially brought families together for support and to help them overcome some of the isolation and barriers they felt in dealing with the syndrome.
20 years ago or so, we learned that Charlie had a deletion, and there was a name for his condition, Smith-Magenis syndrome. We reached out, and shortly thereafter, the first conference was being held, or the first meeting. So we began right then to get involved just as members.
From the beginning, PRISMS was an organization of parents and researchers, and most organizations were not developed in this way. And this is an unusual situation, and so from the beginning, PRISMS has been focused on bringing those researchers into the discussion and working with them from the beginning, and I think that's extremely important.
Well, PRISMS has been, part of my professional career for its entire existence. I was there at the beginning and have been amazed and really pleased to see how it's grown and how it's become a very professional organization, and that it does so many things for families. You know, it's so nice to have PRISMS when we have a newly diagnosed family just learning about Smith-Magenis syndrome, and to be able to send them to the website and to say, hey, look what's here. There's this whole world that you are now going to be introduced to.
You know, when I think of PRISMS, I think of a group of incredibly dedicated individuals who are supportive and are focused on providing accurate information to other families and to providing that much-needed support system for everyone who is affected by Smith-Magenis syndrome. And whether that is an individual who has Smith-Magenis syndrome or family member that's impacted in some way, or teachers or other caregivers.
It's amazing how all those early goals have been accomplished, then some, to establish a formal network of support of families and professionals interested in SMS. Well, we are internationally recognized now to obviously increase awareness through its many programs, and the programs for PRISMS are amazing. They highlight support, they highlight increasing awareness, and they also offer opportunities for researchers and professionals working with SMS to gain a better understanding of the syndrome.
It's exciting to see what the organization has been able to accomplish over the years. When discussing what has made PRISMS such a strong organization across the last 2 decades, it was clear the inspiration and strength of the organization are one and the same: the families.
I think of people when I think of PRISMS, and they're really at the heart of everything that happens.
I remember really clearly some of our earliest connections with other families and how easy it was to be with them, how you didn't have to fully describe or communicate the things that were happening in your life, and how that was so comforting. To me, that is really what is so important about the organization.
Families associated with PRISMS are really like extended family to us. In fact, Laura calls them our PRISMS family. And it's just an amazing group of people that have shown us love and support for the last 25 years. It's amazing.
The families and the many lives that I have been enriched by meeting over the past 3 decades, families who have children with Smith-Magenis, professionals or caretakers of those individuals, they really are the heart and soul of the community.
These families are awesome, with an exclamation point. They are the greatest group of people that you will ever want to be around. You can't help but feel joyful and encouraged and jazzed up when you are around them. You can't help but smile and laugh when you are around their children. You can't help but be in amazement of how hard these families work despite the challenges that they go through.
The individuals with Smith-Magenis syndrome are a special part of our community, and those individuals need love and respect, and they're funny, they're loving, they're caring, that their families are great. SMS is hard, and families need love and support and just a lot of grace.
You can't help but feel humbled by how beautiful these families are, despite all that they go through and all that they are challenged with every day. They show up. They show up for each other. They show up for their kids. You see young parents who mature into these advocates for their children that just can't be stopped. That's amazing to see. And I love that we have this community of all ages, and it's a level playing field. It doesn't matter the age of your child. We are just there to celebrate these kids. You're a better person by being in this community and knowing families who have a child with this disorder. I can't imagine my life without these families in it. I've thought about that a lot. I think reflecting on the 25 years, that what if I had a typical child and I never met anybody within this community? I think my life would just be so less full, and I wouldn't be the person I was. I wouldn't be the parent I am. So many things would not have blessed my life or my family's life had I not been a part of this community, had I not known these families. I think my life might have been dull, maybe a bit uncomplicated, maybe less stressed, but I don't think I would trade that for knowing the people that I know within this community and what they have given to me and what they've given to my family.
We have a very strong sense of our past. We've had a marvelous history of moving forward, and I'm very excited about the plans and changes that are anticipated moving forward. I think all of that plays into the fact that there will be a future for PRISMS.
There have been many voices and hands that have helped to bring the organization to where we are today. As a nonprofit organization, we are only able to continue our work through the generosity of donations from people like you. We ask that you consider joining us in building a future of hope for the global SMS community by making a contribution at www.prisms.org. We look forward to continuing to lead with you by our side. Thank you for 25 years.